Jen. I'm bringing you guys my Reindeer deck profile. So, yeah, start. So for grade 3s, we're running 3 Peaceful Voice Reindeer. She's your main ride target because she's an 11K. That's all you basically need to know. So she has an auto Vanguard circle once per turn. When you drive check a grade 3, you pay the cost by putting a card from hand to soul, and then you choose one of your rear guards and bounce it. And then if you have a Velvet Voice Reindeer in your soul or in your trigger zone, you get an extra drive check. And then you have an auto rear guard circle. Its cost is counterboss 2, and at the end of the battle that your drive check reveals a reindeer, you can pay the cost and ride her from your rear guard. So basically, it restands your Vanguard basically and gets you more drive checks to just keep reusing the first skill to get more drive checks. So she's really nice, and she's an 11K, which is important because our other grade 3 is Velvet Voice Reindeer, the OG. She is a 10K base. You're basically only running her for the reindeer name and the fact that she needs her in soul or in trigger zone. So her skill is auto Vanguard circle. Choose one of your Bermuda rear guards and return to hand. When you drive check your grade 3, pay the cost. If you do, choose a card from hand and call it to field. So she can help you get multi-attack off, but you usually don't want to ride her because the 10K can really hurt sometimes. So for grade 2s, because this deck focuses on drive checking a lot of grade 3s, we're running Inspect Sister's Roble. Her main skill is that in the trigger zone, if you have a reindeer, she counts as a grade 3. And then she has another skill, which you're rarely going to get off, but it's still nice to have nonetheless. So it is Soul Blast 1, put her to bottom of deck. When she attacks, if you have reindeers or Vanguard, pay the cost, draw 2 cards, and shuffle your deck. So basically, she puts grade 3s back into deck, so to increase your chance of drive checking them and get 2 cards in hand. She is on hit though, so that is the thing to keep in mind. We are also running Happy Ears Mellowville. I really like this card. So her skill is when you drive check a grade 3, if you have a Vanguard with reindeer, you can just bounce her to hand for basically no cost. And if you do, you choose 2 of your units and give them plus 3K. So she really helps because she can put more power on your Vanguard. So if like they guard, I don't know, 2 to pass, you can put an extra like 6K on that column, and that's 1 trigger you need to get it to hit. So she can up power, she can, if you have another column to swing with, she can up that column's power, and she helps clear your field, so you don't have to call over things like if you're on Olivia or something like that. So she's really nice. I really like this card. And then lastly, we are running Duo White Crystal Rika because this deck needs resources. Resources are good. So her skill is when she's bounced, you can soul charge and counter charge 1. So basically her main purpose is to just call her on your reindeer stride, which we'll get into later, and she makes her free for 1 time. So she's really nice. For grade 1s, we are running 4 Image Master Kukuri because this lolly deserves to be protected. And you need resources, and she's the Unflip PG. So, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. We are also running 3 of the Lore Stride fodder because striding is nice. And because we love grade 3s in this deck, we are also running Dash Sister's Rabel. Her first skill is basically exactly the same as Robles. So if you have a Vanguard with Reindeer in its card name, in the trigger zone, she's a grade 3. And then her auto skill is much more useful though. So her skill is when your drive check reveals a grade 3, you can put it at the bottom of the deck. If you do, you draw a card, shuffle your deck, and countercharge 1. So she returns to deck to add another grade 3, so to increase your chances of drive checking them. She gets you more resources back and gets you an added draw, so that's really, really good. And for our last slot, we're running 3 Piping Hot Suifa. She's really, really nice, especially to combo with your Mellowville, because her first skill, you don't really use. It's in all Velvet Voice reindeers in the same column as her get plus 1k. So should you happen to ride Velvet Voice, you probably want to call her in the same column and protect her at all costs to keep your Vanguard at 11k. And then her second skill, it only activates on rearguard in the back row. So when your Vanguard is Reindeer and you drive check a grade 3, she gets a red text skill that activates at the end of the battle. You can move her to the open rearguard in front of her and stand her, and she gets 4k. So she combos really well with Mellowville because Mellowville bounces herself and then you don't have to call over. You can just move her right there without having to get rid of anything. So she's really, really nice. For the starter, we're running Colorful Smiling Frat. I really like this starter, but I'll probably end up running the new one that we just got. So Forerunner, her cost is counterblast 1, put her to soul. At the end of the battle that she boosted, if you have a Vanguard with Reindeer, you can pay the cost. If you do, bounce one of your rearguards and call 2. So she can get you some multi-attack, and she can also help you combo with your grade 3 Reindeer to re-ride, because that's how the timing works, because they both activate at the end of the battle. So she's really good. For triggers, we're running 8 vanilla crits, because you don't run the Loris stride, so you don't need the Loris crit, and you just basically want 8 crits, so choose whichever art you like best, and that's what you run. And then, because this deck kind of needs soul, we're running 4 Margle Draw. You can run the old ones, but I like the Art of the Cho-Cho one better. So it's just the standard Margle Draw, put it to soul, give something 3k. So she's really nice to have. And then we're running the Fighter's Collection Heal. So she's one of the generic drop a grade 1 or less and draw when you G-guard with Sandy. So pretty standard. Now on to the G-Zone. We are running 4 Song of Gracious Reindeer. She's probably your main stride in the deck because the goal is to get to G before after first stride. So her skill is when your drive check reveals a grade 3, you may pay the cost, which is Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, and flip a copy of herself. It is not once per turn, which should be of note. So when you drive check a grade 3, you can bounce one of your rearguards. She gets 3k and an additional drive check. So you can get up to 6 drive checks on your first stride if you don't whiff. So that's 6 extra cards to hand and more drive checks you get. So she's really, really good, and she can clear your board should you need it. So she's like your main stride, hence why you need the resources like Rita to just basically make her cost free. Because Link Joker is a thing, we are running 1 copy of Ange. I'm really disappointed with this card, but it's better than nothing. So her skill is act once per turn, GB2, Counterblast 2, choose a card in your G zone, turn it face up. Since she got the errata, you don't have to have 2 copies of her. You choose any number of any player's rearguards and other than Vanguard, and they bounce them. And then this unit gets 5k until end of turn for each thing returned. And then if the number of cards you return is 5 or more, you draw a card. And then if the number of cards returned is 7 or more, she gets an extra drive check. So when she came out, she was supposed to be the big bad boss because she was the first thing that could get rid of your locked cards, aside from like Ezel. So at the time she came out, she was really, really good. But now, since every clan bounces, she's not as good because she's extremely overcosted. So I don't really think she's worth more than a 1 of, because really if you go into Link Sugar with this deck, you're probably not going to be doing super well anyway. So I really don't think you need more than 1. Some people run a lot of them, but it really just depends on your preference. We are also running 2 Legendary Idol Raindear. A lot of people don't know that you can run her outside of a Raindear deck. She does not require you to have Raindears. So her skill is act once per turn, counterblast 1, and flip a copy of herself. So her actual skill, what you're actually supposed to use her for, is she chooses up to the same number of rearguards as the number of Raindears in your soul and gives them 5k. Don't worry about that skill because you don't run any Raindears, you're not going to give any to 5k. What you use it for is her secondary skill, which is if you have 3 face-up cards in your G-zone, you can draw a card, give your Vanguard 10k, and an extra crit. So she gives a lot of pressure late game if you're like low on resources, you only have like 1 counterblast left, you just kind of need something to just give that final push. She can be that thing for you. So because of the do as much as you can clause, you can use her without having to run any Raindears. So she's really nice. And then, because this is a Bermuda deck, we're running 2 School at Toil Olivia. She's used to be the heartthrob of the clan. She still is. So her skill is Auto Vanguard Circle Counterblast 1, turn a copy of her face up. When she attacks, if the number of face-up cards in your G-zone is 2 or more, you can pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 5 of your rearguards, and then if all of them have different card names, you can bounce them on a hand. If you returned 3 units, you can call 2 separate column or separate rows, and then if you called, she gets a crit. So she also has the extra push, and she can get you multi-attack. It basically just depends on what you need during that time. So they're both really good. She can get you multi-attack, she can get you bigger, Raindear can get you bigger numbers. So it really just depends on your needs at that moment. So next we're running 1 copy of Vestal Finale Final Priscilla. She's the GB8 and probably arguably one of the best GB8s in the game. So her skill is choose a card from hand and discard it at the end of the battle that she attacks. Pay the cost. If you do, bounce all of your rear cards, and you can call up to 5 from hand, and they all get 5k. So she can get you up to 5+ attacks in 1 turn. So plus with the added bonus that they all have 5k, so they'll probably all be hitting. So she's really, really good. I really still like her in the deck. And then, of course, because I can, I'm running Zeroth Dragon of the Distant Sea Moegido-chan. Waiting for that. So, you probably all know what he does. He's the Megalonical Ultimate Stride. So it's when he's placed, counterblast 2. If you pay the cost, you can choose 5 cards from hand or drop zone, call them to rearguard circle, and they get 5k, and then they get the red tech skill at the end of the battle that they attacked. You can swap positions with one of your other rearguards. So because this deck is supposed to get you to GB4, you can second stride him. So that's one of the main goals of the deck, if you feel like you're going to be able to win, because another nice thing is that a lot of your skills are not GB restricted, so the deck can still function perfectly fine even if you're without your G zone. So I think he's arguably the best in Reindeer, or maybe Pacifica, because they're not GB restricted, and Reindeer can get you to his GB3 like immediately after your first stride. So he's really good in this deck. For G-Guards, we're running 1 Blessed Sparkle Sandy. She's the Flipper G-Guard, so her skill is when you G-Guard with her, you choose a face-down G-Guard, flip it, and then she gets plus 5k shield for every 2 cards in hand. And should you not have enough cards in hand and you just need that one more 5k, you can counterblast, and she gets an extra 5k. So she's really good because Bermudas keep a hand because you're just bouncing everything. So because of that, she's usually just this giant impenetrable shield. So she's really, really good. And we're also running 1 hand-to-hand Leona. So her skill is when you place her on G-Guard, or on guard circle, you can choose one of your rear guards and bounce it. If you do, choose a card from hand and call it to guard circle, and then if the card you called has the same name as the thing you bounced, it gets plus 5k shield. So if you have something in like your back row, like say you have a 0, you can bounce it to hand and call it, and then that's like an extra 15k shield right there. So she's really good because she can help clear your board. Yeah, she's just a really solid G-Guard overall. And then we are running still 1 Sailor Medley Nasha, because you drive check grade 3s. You're going to have a copy of your Vanguard in hand. So should you need like just an extra 5k shield and you don't want to waste one of your bigger G-Guards, you can just drop her down, reveal one of your grade 3s, and then she gets a 5k shield. So she's still really nice, I think. And then lastly, we're running 2 Highest Society Citrons. Her skill is when you G-Guard with her, call a grade 1 or higher from hand to rear guard circle, and then if you called something, she gets plus 10k shield. So you can actually combo her with hand-in-hand Leona if you know you're going to be G-Guarding twice. So you can use her skill to call a thing to give her the 10k shield, and then you can use Leona, G-Guard with Leona, to bounce the thing and then recall it if you need the extra shield, or you can just rebounce it to keep it in hand. So yeah, that's basically the deck profile. And yeah, thank you guys.